Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this Works Committee meeting to order. Can we start with a roll call? Okay, we just have one member absent. Any declarations of interest? Seeing and hearing none. We've got our minutes from March the 6th. Okay, moved by Tito, seconded by Rhonda. All in favor? That's carried. And then we're down to 7.2. This is report number 2024 WR3, and it's in regards to sole source of promotional and educational services to be provided by the region of Durham for the Circular Materials Ontario for their Blue Box program. Moved by Tito, seconded by Rhonda. Questions or comments on that? Yes. Just a second. Go ahead.
I just wanted to congratulate and thank, through the commissioner and you as chair, our staff, our director, and the department, because it has been a moving target, one that's very difficult considering the changes in the legislations. And I think it's been handled in a way that's both professional and responsible. Obviously, as a municipality, we would like to have more autonomy and more say in the policies that are made, and more money, to be able to offset the impacts to property taxpayers. And I think that discussion by way of this committee and council has occurred, and staff have heard concerns and applied not only good judgment but good policy and the execution and function of hopefully what will end up being an impact that's mitigated to those who are going to be utilizing the program. So to the director and through the director as well to the team that's going to be involved and has been involved up until now, I want to thank him and the team through you, Mr. Chair, and the Commissioner for having listened to the committee and also the council as a whole on behalf of residents.
Yeah, and then I agree as well. I think the other part of this, the fact that we will be part of messaging on this as it transitions from us to this other entity is going to be beneficial. We'll be part of the comp, so we'll be able to communicate best to our residents, and they're used to hearing from us on this. So this is a win-win for everyone, and the fact that there's money attached is great news. Any additional comments on this? All right, all in favor? Right, that's carried. Okay, next we are at item B. This is report number 2024 WR4, and this is in regards to the proposed automated cart-based garbage collection pilot project. What would you like to do with this? Okay. Okay, so I will give you the floor. So we're going to move it by Councillor Crawford, second by Councillor Marin Pietri. Actually, we'll go Councillor Nicholson. Okay, sorry. Thanks for letting me know. Councillor Mulcahy will second. So now it's on the floor, and I'll give the floor to Councillor Crawford. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Can you tell me, does this look like Toronto?
Very simply, yes.
So, as I understand it, do they put everything in this container and then it's sorted, or is it just garbage?
So Toronto has multiple containers.
Okay.
So for the pilot, we're just looking at the waste stream itself. The organics will still be in a separate green bin.
Okay.
And the recycling will be transitioned out. But over with a full implementation, we would be looking at likely split trucks and having two separate bins, one for garbage, one for green bin, so that the collection streams will still stay the same.
Okay, because I know I've had many residents ask about this way. I probably because they came from Toronto to here and wondered about why we don't do it here. So, is there a cost to the resident for the container?
No, we're funding it through the budget for the pilot.
Okay, good.
With a full implementation, the rollout cost of bins will be something that will have to come before council and budgeted appropriately.
And pilot, are you picking an area?
Yeah, so in the report,
I missed it.
Two areas.
Apologize.
One in Scugog and one in Ajax. The one in Ajax is
Missed that part.
southeast corner of Taunton and Westney. There's a couple communities. There's a map with the routes in there. What we were looking for is kind of areas that are relatively small, dedicated route contained, and then we were looking for a Friday collection just due to truck availability in the event of a breakdown, because it's not our standard truck. So working with the contractor
I
to
like it.
provide some
Sorry, I
backup.
missed the map completely. I apologize for
No
that.
worries.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Next on the speakers list is the vice chair. Go ahead, Tito.
I think the question that I would have is, following the pilot project, it comes back to committee, and we assess whether or not, this is something that is not only cost-effective, but effective in moving forward with. Because I know that the conversation oftentimes at the doors with residents, be it during elections or when, speaking about their services, is that, Toronto does this. Yeah, how come you guys aren't doing it? So we're undertaking a process to figure out whether or not this is going to be beneficial to us. Is that what the case is?
Yeah, yes, it is. Like in the report, we outline a whole set of metrics that we're going to be monitoring, including resident satisfaction, efficiency of the collection and so on. And then we'll report back in a year. And like Andrew said, whether we expand it to a larger scale, there'll be another day.
Okay, based on the expansion potentially to a larger scale, I guess we'll already have the analytics in terms of what the costs are and whether or not the contracts that we currently have are going to allow us to do that? Or would this be something that then we take on at the tenure of the new contract? Can we interject the new contract and actually apply this if it's successful, or do we have to wait till the new contract?
I believe there are mechanisms within the contract to amend this, similar to what we've done, because it is, ideally a saving for them as well if they can complete more runs, and the cost for us would be the bins. So all that will have to be factored in.
Okay, and the reason why I asked that, just for the committee's sake and also ours generally, is that you may have contractors or operators that are going to be able to do this at a more cost-effective way because they've already got the equipment to do so. And I'm not sure what the position of the region is in the current contractor, but that's something definitely to look at. And when the pilot project is completed, I'd like to see how that looks, whether or not the costs are going to be, I guess, more front-ended if we insert ourselves in a new contract, or whether it's going to be something that is more palatable if we do that as the new contract comes up.
Yeah, I'll refer to Andrew, please.
Yeah, so a couple things there. So the timing of this would let us use it for the next contract, which is Clarington and the Northern Townships. There is different equipment associated with picking up the carts for a full rollout versus status quo, so it would likely be coming in at a new contract. Pricing for carts, there's a number of mechanisms that can be built in, and in terms of the whole cost package with trucks, and also there's fewer drivers required, which addresses some of the labor shortages that we've seen since the beginning of COVID. So there's a few pieces that come into play, but certainly once we've completed the pilot and started to see results, coming back to committee and council for that authorization would be the path forward.
Is it through you, Mr. Chair, and just again to the commissioners, question of the director, Director Evans, like when you're looking at solid waste, and I may have missed it, but are we talking about the blue boxes as well being a pilot that we're going to do later, or is this something that's going to?
So just for the pilot, it's just the garbage stream. We would be likely moving to both the garbage and organics programs. But following July 1st, we're not responsible for the blue box collection. So that would be the response. Ultimately, any program changes there would be on circular materials and the program operator at the province level.
Okay. So if they decide that they want to have these bins that can be mechanized. So I guess the reason why I'm going there through you, Mr. Chair, is I know that in other municipalities, they have multiple bins. They have these large bins, and then they have the mechanical services to be able to dispose of them. So I know that people are going to be looking at what the space requirements are in their homes or their units, and seeing whether or not they're going to be large bins, small bins. We'll have all this sorted out when it comes to the pilot. Is that something that that others, even if they're not part of the pilot, they can see where we're trending?
Yeah, moving beyond the pilot, we'd certainly be communicating that cart size does factor into it. In particular with the garbage cart, people do tend to like the carts at the end of the day because they are a bit more vertical storage for the black bags. Beyond that, an organics cart wouldn't be too dissimilarly sized to what they have now, likely a little bit larger. And then recycling, depending on how that program looks, whether it's single stream or dual stream in cart or blue box, would change based on that.
I guess just the last question, and I think it's one that we have to be cognizant of because other municipalities, including ours, have gone to similar type bins for core areas, and it's not worked out as well because they end up getting stolen or vandalized. If, for example, a bin is stolen or vandalized, does the contractor still pick up the garbage if it's just in a bag?
We'd have to look into that. They would have the ability. One of the things we're talking about is with the ability to purchase bag tags now for surplus bags. So that would exist, but they typically would throw it into the bin.
Yeah.
So we'd likely be looking at some sort of bin replacement mechanism. Again, depending on how we move forward, these bins can be RFID tagged, so you can keep track of bins to addresses and things like that. There's various technology aspects that could factor into a full-scale rollout.
I would just, through you, Mr. Chair, urge us to look at that because the likelihood of an entire neighborhood having their bin stolen is not high, but you're going to have that situation occur, and the last thing you want is someone with a bin then not being able to put their garbage out because it has to be in the bin and not loose in a bag. So that's just a point that it's a likelihood that we've seen occur in other jurisdictions. So I just wanted to make sure that was identified. And I just wanted to leave you with those thoughts, Mr. Chair, and thank staff for answering those questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we've got Councillor Nicholson. Go ahead.
Just a couple of questions off the start, then I'll make a comment. You said this is going to cost us $50,000. I'm assuming it's going to be paid for by the 6 municipalities that have regional collection?
It would be part of the solid waste budget. I would have to defer to finance as to where
Okay,
specifically.
but Whitby and Oshawa collect their garbage separately from the region. Why should we have to pay for it at all?
Again, I'd have to speak to finance on that.
Okay, but I need some assurance before I can vote for this that my community is not going to be asked to pay. No, it's a small amount, but it's a principle. The region does not collect garbage in Oshawa, therefore we've not been consulted on this project.
Understood. We do also speak at the staff level to the local tiers, including Whitby and Oshawa in specific. With this program, I understand there's similar pressures within the industry in Oshawa and Whitby as well, and we would certainly be intending to share the data of this program with them as we move forward.
All right. Second question, how are you going to deal with multi-unit residences?
They would stay on the same multi-residential collection program as they are now.
So the people that are in multi-residential, like single homes with 2 units, they just simply don't get this service and only the rich people get services?
So in terms of, multi-residential in terms of apartment buildings would stay on the same.
No, I mean, like homes. I have homes on my street that have 2 units. They're single-family homes.
Oh, they would each
They
unit
would get 2 bins
Correct.
because we have trouble getting the pickup from the garbage bags alone, let alone adding bins.
So legal duplexes that are registered, they do have an increase. They can put out the additional bags.
So if there's a triplex, they get 3 bins?
Yep.
4plexes get 4 bins? On a 29-foot frontage? Had anybody considered that?
So that's one of the reasons we are doing the pilot. But the fourplexes are part of the challenge. But it is and this has been rolled out in a number of communities outside the region as well.
All right. I'm assuming the other municipalities that have progressed to this policy, they probably did studies as well?
Yes, they have, and we've been speaking. Most recently, Simcoe County was the one that moved. So we have been speaking with them about their experience. We understand the residents' feedback is positive, and we're looking to see to move on those experiences from others.
Then is there something different about the residents in Durham than from Simcoe or other areas? I mean, is it the same garbage, the same collection?
So certainly you speak to narrow frontages to get that experience. Also in some of the rural areas, more slopes. some of those aspects as well are things that we're looking forward to and wanting to get our own experience with using those carts and using that collection before we roll it out across the region. Part of that is to have that data available.
So you've made up your mind already, you're going to expand this program.
Given the way the industry is moving and the reason and what we've seen in other communities, it is likely, but that decision would be back to committee and council following the pilot.
Why can't we secure the information from the other municipalities without going and reinventing the wheel here?
It is partially just to to get our own experience with it. We do operate a different program in terms of number of bags, but there will certainly be similarities to what we see in other jurisdictions.
Similarities, they'd be virtually identical.
Okay.
What's being picked up in York would be similar to what's being picked up in Durham, in Peel, in Toronto. I mean, the only difference might be in Toronto might be some of the density issues, but I guess what my concern is here is, you're selling this as a pilot project, but you made up your mind. You're going to do this, whether the pilot project, you're collecting money and collecting information on the pilot project in order to convince council to give you the money to do this.
We do want to see the cost impacts. We want to see the project impacts before we make a recommendation as to a full program. Given what we see in the industry, there is a lot of movement in this direction, and those same challenges and rationales would likely apply to Durham, but we haven't formally made that decision yet. And when that time comes, we bring it to committee and council.
In the other municipalities that have changed the system, is the cost of this process less expensive or more expensive than the bag collection?
There are cost savings associated with this program as we understand it. A future, are contemplated if we were to roll this out across the region, we would be looking at how we structure a future procurement to determine any cost savings versus status quo. So there's large cost savings associated with driver injuries, number of drivers and workers, and that can come into the contract, the cost of the contract. So we would be looking at a procurement document to understand how that could factor in.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I guess the problem I'm having here is I see this very premature. We are going through a massive reorg of the blue box system. We're expanding our green box collection system. And now we're at the same time, in the same time frame, going to be looking at a pilot project to revamp our garbage collection system. Respectfully, I see that as a recipe for chaos. I'd much rather, we go through the process of doing our blue box reorg, doing the enhanced green box, seeing how they impact the waste stream, and then determine whether we want to move to an automated collection system or not. It may be that this is a good SAM because we have less going into the waste stream, or it may not. So I guess my only concern is you're asking for a lot of change in a very short time frame. I know it sounds, that 5-6 years is, if you're looking at growing your garden, that's a long time. If you're looking at changing your garbage collection system, that's not a long time. And it's going to involve a massive education program to convince the residents to change the system. And there are many that are not going to be able to do that. Not everyone has the capacity to fill a large bin and put it out, especially seniors, those who are physically disabled. I don't see anything in here how we're going to address the issue. They can take out a small bag, but to fill a bin, push it down, have it unloaded, push it back up, I can see a lot of problems. And I guess my concern is that I think it's just premature at this point to move to this pilot project before we truly understand the impacts of the blue box and green box situation. Secondly, you're going to put an awful lot of pressure on two municipalities that you don't collect garbage from. And they're going to create demands for those municipalities to secure equipment. We don't have contracted out services in Oshawa. So if this was become the norm, and there was a great pressure for us to spend considerable capital funds to redo all our equipment, we've just signed a contract, this week in fact, for 8 new side loaders to the current system. Unlike Durham, we can't simply change the system on a dime and get a new contractor to provide a service. All our garbage collection is done in-house. And I just don't see any benefit to the citizens of Oshawa for this pilot project. In fact, I see a lot of negatives. And therefore, with all due respect, I can't support this at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to just, before we go to the next speaker, just ask a couple questions if you don't mind, Andrew. So with new municipalities that are starting new programs, what would the percentage be, and this could be anecdotal, on how many people have switched to this type of automated system?
There's a table in the report with showing a number of jurisdictions that have gone over. And it is, a continued process. Within the last year, I believe it was, let me just flip to the page in the report. I think Kingston's looking at it, Halton's looking at it, Aurelia's looking at it. And there are various, pilots are in progress. Transition Kitchener-Waterloo is another one, rolling out within the next several years. I mean, there is a number of years lead time required for these trucks. So there is, I would say most jurisdictions that are looking at this are moving in that direction.
Okay. Just from my family situation, my father has automated. He's in Simcoe County. Relatives in Charlotte, North Carolina, they all use it, love it. Obviously, City of Toronto have gone that way. So my only direct relatives that don't have this now are in the Township of Uxbridge. So it just, when you think of how complicated it is to get staff, truck drivers, all those types of things, this might make sense to cut your staff in half. And then to mix up the type of people that could do this type of work, I don't think I'd sign up for it. I'd last about maybe an hour lifting garbage into trucks until my 50-year-old body falls apart. So I think this could be a really good solution. I like that we're dipping our foot in the water here and trying it in Durham region. So I think it's probably the right move to collect some data on where the market is going. So I wanted to kind of jump into that for a second. Now we'll go to Chair Henry. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question related to costs. So this is an estimate of $50,000. What is the total estimated cost if the pilot project succeeds?
Difficult question to answer because of the implications to the tenders and the contractors. In terms of capital costs, you'd be looking at $60 to $70 per bin per household. So there is a significant upfront investment in the carts. But that should be largely or fully offset by a reduction in the proposal or tender price for the procurements for the new contracts based on the reduced number of staff, the reduced number of, so their WSIB claims and things that would roll out. But certainly quantifying that costs change or cost savings is what we anticipate is going to be part of the strategy in determining how we move forward with this.
My only concern is that if this is successful, and I believe it will be, then it will be a one-time budget hit, and then every new home built will get a bin after that. So there'll be additional costs long-term, and it would be nice to quantify that. You could quantify it by simply counting the number of homes in the 6 municipalities that the region picks up the garbage, and that would give you a rough estimate of what the cost would be in that budget year, because I'm not sure we could do it all in one budget year anyways. So it would have to be done over time.
So we do have 2 separate collection contracts for so the Clarington and the Northern Townships, and then Ajax Pickering. So they roll over in different years. So it would be a staged implementation that way if we were to move forward. But yes, certainly. And then there would be other potential financing strategies as well, whether depending on how we deal with the bins ownership under the contract.
And just one other question. take the weight restriction off what goes out. So right now, garbage bags only weigh a certain weight. It's gonna make, bins will be much heavier if you're putting all your garbage in and rolling them out. So how are we gonna manage the weight restrictions on a bin?
There would still be weight restrictions on the bins. One of the benefits to this is that those weight restrictions are largely in place to protect the workers. So because it moves to an automated system, they can, the cart loaders can address those weight restrictions appropriately.
Yeah, I'd hate to see somebody doing renovations and filling it full of broken concrete from the basement floor and then putting it out. So that would be one of my concerns. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, next we've got Councillor Makahi.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. Through you, Mr. Chair, would the 50,000 be recouped if we were to implement this? Like, obviously, some of it would be absorbed into it moving forward.
Potentially, and either way, we are looking, and this is addressed in the report as well, looking at securing bins that could be used as well as in other programs. So we certainly would want to be throwing these bins out at the end of the pilot. So whether they're saved for our use in a full rollout or potentially sold to another jurisdiction who can use them.
Okay, good answer. Thank you. And the other question I have through Mr. Chair is we have a bag limit set, and the last thing I'd want to see is an increased use of garbage. So how many bags would fit in this bin, and are we going to be monitoring our intake and volume of waste that we're picking up?
So there are different cart sizes available. So the carts we're looking at now are in that 3 to 4 bag size, so consistent with what we have. And yeah, certainly we will have those truck data when they come out, when they tip, so we'll know how much waste is being generated. And we'll also have bylaw out as part of this kind of doing curbside drive-bys and looking at the bins to see how they're being used.
Will we be doing tip weights now before we implement it so we can do a comparison afterwards in those areas?
We probably would have that data already just because we know the truck number and the route areas. So we would dive down into that a little bit more, but we would have at least a general indication of that data now.
Yeah, I think it would be important based on all of our green initiatives to if we roll this out, the last thing that we want to see is an increased tipping of garbage.
Agreed. There is technology too that can be deployed within the trucks to look for contamination and other contraries. If something's completely contained within a bag, that could be a challenge. But certainly things like hazardous waste, we still do get the odd piece of material that's inappropriate come in through the system. So being able to monitor those setouts and look for that material is something we're also looking at as this moves forward.
Good, thank you. Thank you for bringing it forward. I think I've heard it from my residents that they would love to see this as people are migrating out of the city. They want to see this. Even the seniors that you might not think would be able to handle it, they say it's easier because it's on big wheels, it's easy to roll, easier than carrying a bag. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results of this, and thank you so much.
Okay, next we've got Councillor Crawford.
Thank you for letting me back in. Through you, that was my concern. I was just going to say, we did this whole green bin program to reduce garbage. I hate to see that. Anyway, I won't repeat it. But the pilot is very controlled, right? Like it's 2 specific municipalities, and it's over the course of a year. Even though it's happening and rolling out at the same time as the blue bin and the changes in the green bin, it's, I think that, if after a year we find that things are really confusing, but the area is very controlled, so it's really, I feel like it shouldn't be that confusing, and by the time you actually roll out the whole program, if it works, we're already used to the blue bin, we've already worked out the kinks in the green bin, and then the garbage should just naturally be a flow through. So I don't see this as being, I think there's more residents that get it than not get it, because of where they've come from. So I think that's all my comments. I'll just stop talking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next to Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, just a couple more questions based on the questions raised by my colleagues. Are people going to put their garbage in green bins, green bags, and then throw them in the bins? Or are they going to dump their waste directly into the bins?
I expect we'll see a bit of a mixture.
What's our preference?
From a contamination point of view, if we've got the cameras in the trucks, I would love to see it be loose, but that could pose some different challenges. So I'd have to get back to you on that in terms of operations preference.
How are we going to deal with the issue of fly-by-night dumpers who decide, well, I've got some garbage, I'll just throw in that bin? And then the poor homeowner who met all the weight limits is stuck. Are we just simply going to go by and not pick up the bin?
So certainly, there are locking options for the bins, but there's not a lot of difference, with this current situation now where people can, hopefully not doing it, but taking a bag, putting it out at their neighbor's driveway, or that aspect. So there's really minimal change to, what could be the fly-by-night situation.
I don't know where you've been collecting your garbage, but I can tell you, fly-by-night is a constant problem in my area, where people are coming in and at midnight dropping garbage everywhere, including public spaces and public parks. How will this, is this only to be aimed at single-family homes or semis? Is this going to be also working with multi-res pickups?
So those being serviced by curbside collection is where we're aiming this. So this is, those residents that are putting out the up to 4 bags now curbside. The multi-res that are on more of the front end collection, that system will stay as is.
I have a ward that has 48% tenants. We would do a reasonably good job picking up from single-family homes and curbside. Picking up from multi-res is abysmal. So my concern is, why aren't we concentrating our efforts on fixing that problem first before we go back and actually start tweaking a program that actually works? Like, I don't understand your priorities. Like, wouldn't we fix those that are underserviced first before we start radically changing those that have a system that seems to work reasonably well right now?
So multi-residential collection is also, we are looking at that. We have put forward the multi-residential organics program that we're in the process of rolling out and developing and finalizing now. But there is certainly multi-residential units pose different challenges in that, could be, from anything from configuration of waste rooms to access points, and they really have to be dealt with on a one-off basis. And we do, have some units on carts and bins there, but those are 2 different programs. And saying we're working on one program doesn't mean that we won't be working on the other as well.
All right. Just again, for my information, the cost of a side loader versus the cost of these new automatic lifters?
I don't have specific data, but I understand that they're very similar. The technology has changed
I don't need
over.
anecdotal evidence. I need cost estimates.
So
Just before we go too deep on this, so Oshawa and Whitby pick up their own garbage. So this is a regional program that won't even affect your residents right now. So I'm just wondering the direction of the conversation.
Well, I live in a real world. If you start producing this type of program on the 6 municipalities, the pressure on the other 2 municipalities will be extreme. We will then have to pick up the full cost of the capital purchases of the new equipment. Based on this report, I'll have to lay off half my garbage staff because we won't need them anymore. That'll go over well, I'm sure, with our CUPE union reps. Secondly, it only addresses, in my ward, half the residences. The other half of residences wouldn't benefit from this program one bit. So my concern is that we seem to be aiming our program at a system that already works while ignoring the deficiencies in the other parts of the collection system. And, when, apartment buildings, townhouse complexes, sixplexes, 12plexes, many of these are not on the curb pickup. They have to pick up those costs themselves. And they're unwilling to do so, and the region or the municipalities don't pick them up. So my question is, should we not, if we're serious about addressing garbage collection, shouldn't be focusing our energies on fixing the deficiencies we have now in collection, rather than simply taking a system of curbside collection, which by and large reasonably works, and replacing it with some new approach, while still leaving the inefficient collection processes to their own devices again. It just seems that we got the whole process backwards. It's like buying a new car to replace the car you got last year, but keeping the old junker in the driveway. Like it just doesn't make.
Oh, here, just a second. Why don't we finish with Councillor Nicholson and we'll switch back? We just debate back and forth is probably a mistake, and I might have started it, so I apologize. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. What I'm trying to say is that there are challenges in collection. And it's not just the two that do their own collections. In Durham's collection, we don't collect from multi-res to anywhere near the efficiency as we collect our curbside program. So my question is, should we not be concentrating our efforts on bringing the full scope of Durham residents into the process before we start correcting or improving the one process that actually is working? That's really the only issue I'm looking at. It's just a matter of priority. I'd rather see the money and the effort and the time spent on bringing multi-res and even commercial and industrial into our waste stream so that we can actually be assured that it's not going to end up in our creek valleys or end up in our streets. And, it seems to me that, again, at the bigger picture, we should be looking at fixing our deficiencies as opposed to reinventing our successes. That's the reason I'm making it. And it will have an impact on Whitby, on Oshawa. There's no way to avoid that. If the region shifts to this system, the pressure on us to shift to that system will be tremendous. Except in Whitby and Oshawa, as their municipal services, the taxpayers are going to get stuck with an awful lot of capital costs, an awful lot of process. And we don't have the same flexibility as the private sector to simply drop staff overnight. Some of our collection staff have been with us decades. And I hate to be saying that we're doing this as a pilot project so we can find a way to put you out of work. And that's a hard sell. I'm just trying to say to our communities that have chosen to do our garbage collection in-house rather than contracting it out. This step will be very difficult to swallow. So I just wanted to raise those red flags for everyone to consider.
Okay, just comment.
Yeah.
From the Commissioner.
Through the chair, just to add a comment to that comment, Councillor, talking about deficiencies in waste collection and management, one of the deficiencies, like which I know city staff also share, is about finding staff post-pandemic to do this kind of work, simply because of how heavy these bags are, and like the mayor said, the committee chair said, mid-30s and 40s. Like beyond that, it becomes very strenuous on them. And as mentioned in the report, curbside waste collection is one of the highest in terms of severe injuries and fatal incidents when it comes to because of how they have to get out of the vehicle, they get blindsided by other vehicles. So there are deficiencies in waste collection, as you point out, but this is a true deficiency that the industry is facing. The purpose of this pilot is to just look at about 700 households in two subdivisions. One is rural, one is urban, to find out all the concerns that we've talked about here. Some of them may be unique to Durham. For example, as Councillor mentioned, with the bins being stolen and so on, is that real? I think we'll find out from this small scale pilot. Like I said, again, only 700 households. We'll come back to you in a year, and then and I know Mr. Saunier, who's my counterpart in Oshawa, he also struggles with finding staff, there's a lot of turnover in this industry as well. Once you're, and this is also about diversity and inclusion. That's another documented benefit from this. I believe there are some industries who have been able to get other genders into this line of business as well. So there's multiple goals here. Some of them may be mythical, some of them may be true. And I believe there's 1 year of pilot with a very small sample that's going to be controlled, will yield us some good findings, and we'll get back to you. That's the purpose of the report. Thank you.
Okay, so,
I've made my point. I just wanted to raise the red flags.
okay, sounds good. Next, we've got Councillor Mackay.
Yeah, thank you. Just further along that line, I believe that Whippy's already been looking at this, and I believe that we've had the conversation a few times. The demand is there. People are asking for this, so I'm happy to explore it through the region and use those findings elsewhere. I'm a little concerned with saying that we're not living in the real world, because I think that the reality is we're growing substantially, especially to the north with single-family homes, and we are going to see hundreds and thousands more units added. And so when it comes to staffing it, I believe that it actually ensures that we have jobs for the staff that we have without having to expand our fleet substantially. So I'm very comfortable with this, and I think that a small pilot is always smart, and it will show us, some of the peaks and the valleys of the program. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we've got Councillor Yamada for the first time. Go ahead, Councillor.
Good morning. Thank you. Through chair to staff, when I look at section 4.5 of the report, you speak to the following aspects being explored: time efficiency, health and safety, accessibility and ergonomics, litter and community suitability. How are you going to measure all that? And is there a baseline that you're taking before starting this pilot? Because it looks like you're starting it in a couple of months.
Yes, so through the chair, there is ways to, so for example, just going through them quickly, so time efficiency, looking at cycle times for drivers to stop, throw bags in versus operate the collection arm. There will be some training time, of course, required to get them used to the automated cart collection, but that data can be available. We also have GPS data and start-stop times for the trucks as in the existing systems. With the contractor, we can go over health and safety aspects and the ergonomics. Litter is through community surveys, certainly time of year plays a big piece to that, and also just in conversations with the residents, and we are going to be looking at some survey data to get residents kind of feedback at the beginning of and the end of the program as well. And then the community suitability, certainly speaking with residents that have problems with this program as we're going through the pilot, to work through those with them and understand what pros and cons could be of a full rollout.
No, that's terrific. A pre-post survey will be great. I'm in supportive of this. Before moving out to Whitby, I lived in South Etobicoke, and to be able to have the ability just to roll your garbage bin right out to the corner is pretty simple. My elderly neighbor at the time, she'd be able to do the same. So I do think this will be. I think the results will be good when we see them in 2025, and I'm excited to read that report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. So just a couple more words from the chair here. What I've heard so far and from reading the report, this is safer, looks to be less expensive. Our residents like it. It's better for seniors. It allows for more diversity with drivers. And then one of the comments about people dumping in these bins from a rural municipality where we have a lot of people driving up with full truckloads and dumping stuff in rural areas and dead ends. If they want to put this in a bin that gets picked up in an autonomous way with a truck, that saves us a ton of work. So again, just if that's our biggest problem, this will make me happier. But I'd just like to thank staff for looking at this. I was wondering why we weren't going in this direction. And Andrew, thanks for you and your team for looking at this. I hope this is a step in the right direction, and the data will speak for itself. So thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. If there's no more comments or questions, all in favor? Okay, that's carried. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right. So next we are at 8.1A. This is correspondence from the City of Oshawa dated March the 6th in regards to the 401 interchange at Town Line Road in Ward 5. Okay. Move to receive, seconded by Councilor Makahi. Questions or comments? Can you, oh, there we go. Thank you. I didn't look at the electronics there. Go ahead, Brian.
Was there a minute ago? Yeah. I'm not going to support receive for information. I think we need to take a serious look at the interchanges along the 401. In Oshawa, we are going at this point from 4 interchanges down to 3. Either our population is projecting to be in excess of 300,000 people in the next 10 years. We're already seeing a massive amount of chaos at the Harmony Road interchange, which is servicing 4 major communities in Oshawa and Clarington. The traffic from Clarington that's coming across from the western portion of Curtis, the lands to the west of the Curtis Road interchange, are driving across Bloor Street to Harmony Road and accessing the 401 at Harmony, and the same applies in the evenings on the way back. Anybody who's driven along Bloor Street on a regular basis knows we have absolute chaos right now. And it's only going to get worse as more and more subdivisions are added. At the same time, Harmony Road in Oshawa also services the northern portion of our city because it's the major access coming from the north, from north of Taunton all the way down to the 401. It also services the center of the city because the road, the interchange that did service the center at Ritson is being closed. So we're going to see an awful lot of new access from Ritson eastward onto the Harmony interchange. Also, it services southern Oshawa and the industrial parks as they come up Fairwall to Bloor Street across to Harmony, the interchange. This is a massive service area. And again, it's only going to get worse as the densities change. And this area is a prime area for densities based on the new provincial policy statements. We're looking anywhere from 10 to 15,000 new units in the next 10 years. Again, all serviced primarily by this intersection. We met last July with Minister McCarthy and his staff and representatives of the region and the city of Oshawa and the municipality of Clarington. There was a unanimous view at that meeting that we needed to look at the possibility of addressing issues regarding potential town line interchange that would service both Oshawa and Clarington. And for those that are familiar with town line, know that it is not bounded on both sides by residential roads. It's very much an open road to if the bridge over the creek were established, it would go all the way to the ridges and would take an awful lot of traffic off residential dominated roads, which are at this point clearly unsafe due to the traffic amounts. I know in our official plan, there was in the past, they were looking at interchange at Prestonvale in Clarington. If you talk to the councillors who represent that area, the last thing they want is an interchange at Prestonvale because they see it as Harmony 2.0. That we're going to make the same mistake we made at Harmony by putting an interchange into a residential neighborhood. The city of Oshawa is simply asking that our partners, the region, Clarington, and the province, start the process of at least looking at this option to see if it could address some of our traffic issues and whether we want to change the priority to Town Line or keep the priority at Prestonville. I think it's prudent as a municipality, Durham here. Pardon me, I thought I had turned off. And we're looking, I guess, to start the conversation. And this is a committee that obviously would be the key committee in initiating the conversation. A receive for information, it would be a slap in the face to all those residents who are suffering right now at Harmony Road. All those residents who are suffering at Bloor Street. And I won't even get into the fact that we're going to redo Bloor Street, straighten it out, and fix up that road over a period of time going into Clarington. I have no idea where the traffic from Curtis is going to go. Whenever there's any traffic patterns in that area, the traffic from Curtis ends up going down Granbury Street South or down Cherry Hill Drive. They can access Olive Avenue, which, by the way, is also being redone. I think it would be prudent of us, and I say this respectfully, it'd be prudent of us, rather than simply receiving information, this request from the state of Oshawa, that we should set up a meeting between Oshawa and Clarington and the region to at least have a discussion on whether this option is worth pursuing. And if we agree that it is, then we need to definitely bring in Minister McCarthy and the representatives at the provincial level. I want to also note an interchange at Town Line Road would open up the industrial park to the south of that location, down to Colonel Sam Drive, rather than bringing it again up through Faribault to the Harmony interchange. Personally, I see a lot of positives about at least looking at it to see if it's something that could solve our traffic issues. And I would keep in mind that the decision to add Prestonville to the official plan has literally been overtaken by growth. When it was put in, it might have made some sense. But there's so much growth occurred in South Curtis right now. I think we're creating a bigger problem. So if the receipt information is defeated, I would move simply that we refer this to staff for further analysis and discussions with our partner municipalities.
Okay, we have another speaker, Chair Henry.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to remind members of council, for the past 30 years, we've been advocating to get the GO train extended to Clarington, and we're, this far away from that work starting now. So for the new growth that will be coming to East Oshawa and Curtis and to Boneville, will have the option of utilizing the GO train. The other part that we were very successful was making sure that the 418 and the tolls on the 418 and 412 were removed, which has helped alleviate some of the traffic. An interchange, the last one that the region and the city of Oshawa participated in was the interchange at Stevenson's Road. I don't know off the top of my head what the contribution was, but it was in the tens of millions of dollars. I'm going by memory, so I'm going to say somewhere around $100 million, but I'm not sure. So our official plan, and as it was presented to council, showed Prestonville Road as the entrance. I know that lands in that area have been, that it will be developed for residential housing has already been purchased. I know that we're being contacted by some of those developers wanting to get moving on, wanting to know the timeline for the GO train, and so that they can get started. We're just went through a budget session, and we talked about the challenges we're having. This could potentially be a challenge that leaves the region on the same kind of hook as the Stevenson Road interchange did. And I haven't been privileged to any of the meetings that took place by the city of Oshawa or the province or the municipality of Clarington, I know that staff was mentioned. Did we have staff in a meeting that took place to talk about a possible interchange?
I don't recall, no. Work staff? Okay. It's possible, like,
So if we had staff there and the commissioner doesn't know, and I don't know, and I'm gonna make the assumption that the CAO doesn't know, then that's another problem that we can deal with later. So at this time, I'd like to suggest that we continue to conference, to work towards our advocacy on the GO Train East extension and the challenges of tolls on the 407 East. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay. Go back to Councillor Nicholson.
With respect, these are red herrings being raised. Whether we go at Prestonville or whether we go at Town Line, it's not going to have any impact on the GO system. You know, and to assume that the GO system itself and expansion is going to solve all our traffic issues it's simply unexplainable in my view. Yes, some people are going to use the GO train. No question about that. And it's a good thing. Believe me, it goes through my ward. I'm quite happy to support the GO system expansion. I think it's long overdue. The widening of the 401 is also going on, which is acted again as a incentive for people to use the 401 because it's being widened to accommodate traffic. So the ministry itself has already indicated that they're going to see a massive amount of traffic increases on the 401 highway. We had this discussion a few weeks ago that the 407, because it's tolled, isn't a solution to traffic because only a small portion of the driving population are going to pay the tolls. Most are going to drive southward to the 401. And we've seen it in all our communities. It's not a surprise. The reality here is that no one is asking for a commitment of $1 in this. What we're asking for from the city of Oshawa is an opportunity to talk about it, to start the process of review, to see if this is something that we wish to pursue or not. And, you know, no one has suggested at this point that we're going to commit $100 million to an interchange. I would submit whether it's done at Town Line or whether it's done at Prestonville, if there is a regional share of that, it's going to happen at either location. So what we're talking about here is what's the best location for that interchange. It may be after investigation that Prestonville is the best option. It may not. But we refuse to even look at the option. If we refuse to even consider this, especially when we got a written request by one of our member municipalities to ask the region to participate in reviewing it, what does it say to Oshawa? That we respectfully ask for you to join us in a discussion about it, and our response is, no, we're not interested. We don't want to even talk about it. Like, how more disrespectful can you be? We didn't approach this lightly. We didn't decide that it was something we were going to demand that the region do at their expense. We offered to sit down and talk. And surely the most respectful response from the region should be, yes, we'll be happy to sit down and talk and have a discussion and see whether this is something we wish to pursue moving forward or not. But to simply reject it out of hand without any review, I say this, you know, clearly, I think it's very disrespectful to the city of Oshawa and to the issues that we're dealing with and to the residents who live and drive on our regional roads, who are living in dangerous driving conditions right now in utter chaos on Harmony Road and on Buller Street. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, on to Councillor Marin Pietri. Oops, as I pour my coffee. Go ahead.
Chair Barton and Commissioner Jagannathan, I know that comments have been made from the standpoint of the city as well as the region, but I think I'm going to comment at this from a different angle. I know that this is at Works, and I know that there's probably a greater impact than just, you know, the function of the roadway and facilitating the infrastructure. A great deal of development is usually predicated on plans that are advanced, both at the municipal and at the regional level. And I think the province bases a lot of their decision-making, and so do those investing in our community, on those plans. Has there been a position, or at least, you know, some comment from economic development on this request by the city of Oshawa?
No, I've not had any discussions with economic development on this. If I can make a few points through the
Certainly.
chair. The motion was recommended to be received for information, in part because it didn't seem to acknowledge the current plan, which is Envision Durham, that's in front of the province, that shows the Preston Vale interchange. We call it Preston Vale interchange. It really swings Town Line Road, connects into Preston Vale, and you might as well call that a Town Line interchange. You know, the way the Envision Durham plan shows, the Clarington official plan shows, and the regional official plan has shown before. So, like what is being asked, as long as it's being acknowledged, it's in the vicinity of Town Line, meaning it can either be Town Line or Preston Vale as shown in the plan. Certainly, those things will be looked at as part of a transportation master plan update anyway, which is scheduled to happen in the 25 timeframe. So in some form or shape, all this will be looked at, but it's important to acknowledge the current position, including our own official plan, which is in front of the minister, that shows the interchange between 401 and Preston Vale, but with a direct Town Line connection connecting into Preston Vale.
Okay. So noting that, I'm just trying to better understand also the previous sort of position that, or at least the position that has been taken by the region in consultation with the province. Costs obviously for Prestonville have been calculated somewhat, have they not?
No, at the official plan level, we just look for access and what's the right point to connect with 401. We don't go into costing at all, not to that level of detail.
Okay. What led us not to have Town Line and Bloor Street considered over, for example, Preston? And I don't want to say this to demean or to take away from other municipalities, because if I were, you know, in the shoes of another municipality, I would want, you know, to retain my interchange. Just trying to understand the rationale of the region's official position in not considering, or considering Prestonville over Town Line.
Yeah, through the chair, I would suggest it's a combination of multiple factors. The one being, like, you know, you want to be as far away as possible from Harmony from an interchange spacing perspective. And the other one, I think it's all about land use, like which would be more question for planning as to why they see. And Prestonville does go somewhere, like Town Line is a discontinuous road, at least at this point. But they did see an, you know, need for that connection, and that's the reason, like I said, in our plan, Town Line Road swings to the east before, just north of 401, on to Prestonville, and there's an intersection at Prestonville and Town Line. So it's as easy for those along Town Line to access 401 as it would be for Prestonville. So, like, I would suggest, like, from a spacing perspective and, you know, access to whether residents of Oshawa or Clarington, it's indifferent because it provides direct access to 401 regardless of whether it connects directly from Town Line or through Prestonville.
Improvements will have to be made to Bloor Street and Town Line, I guess, when that occurs. Is that correct?
Yeah, which is already in our long-term plan. Like, you know, our current plan is to widen Bloor from Harmony to Grandview, and then there's a longer-term plan to go east of Grandview as well.
Okay. How long have we had the position where, you know, the region has put forward Prestonville versus Town Line? I just want to gather from my own understanding, because then we can start assessing whether or not a shift is going to impact or not, you know, different sort of investment models.
I believe it's been in our plans for a few years. I'm not sure if it was so in the previous transportation master plan. I may want to, if I could refer to Mr. Paul G, if you would recall whether it was the previous TMP as well.
Yes, the 2017 TMP actually deleted the planned or shown interchange that was at Colonel Sam and Grandview area and moved it over to the Prestonvale location.
Okay, I wasn't a part of that particular council, so just through you, is there an ability to understand why it was deleted?
Yeah, there was constraints in that area when it was looked at as it relates to very high cost, complexity, natural environment, the rail lines. So there was some study work that was done to show the justification for moving it.
Could we expand on those complexities, be it cost relative to, say, the Stevenson Road interchange, or an interchange of that nature, the rail lines, and whatever else, just for our understanding? Because again, I wasn't part of the council that made that decision.
Yeah, I think it comes down to probably proximity of the rail lines, as well as, like I said, the natural environment impacts at that location. We'd have to look back in the study and dig into the details as to the full rationale. But it was for those reasons that it was felt it was better located at Prestonvale and more feasible. So.
And I appreciate that, brief understanding. If, for example, the receipt for information fails, I would urge that information come forward so that we can make an informed decision, because there could be, elements in that help us understand, where we're trending. But more than anything, there had to have been in that decision what the benefit or what the impacts would be on roadways such as Harmony. I know that we've just reconstructed a large portion of Harmony Road. The intensity, because of development in the area, not just in the Oshawa area, but also Clarington, is increasing as everyone sort of recognizes when you travel that area. Town Line, I know that a portion of it in Clarington is in the Greenbelt, so it's highly unlikely that it's going to be developed. But it's largely used to get to either Clarington or Oshawa as a relief mechanism, but not to the extent of a roadway that has an interchange. So in that report, I wouldn't mind taking a look at how we reconciled the impact on roadways such as Harmony by shifting the interchange from where it was intended to where it is now in the official plan for the region of Durham.
If I may, it might be helpful just to note that there is an approved reconstruction of the Harmony Road interchange that is planned to be constructed in the next few years. The Harmony Road interchange, in our opinion, will become much more efficient with its reconfiguration. And so that will help with the traffic in that area as well, accessing the 401.
With that reconstruction, because it is inefficient as it stands now, largely inefficient, what is the timeline suggested for that, and what's our contribution as a region?
There's no contribution from the region. This is a provincial initiative to rebuild the interchange. The timeline is roughly in the 2027, 2028 timeframe at this point, is best information that we have from the ministry.
So I take it as they move from Simcoe, which is currently being reconstructed, they'll move over to Harmony.
You're correct. It's currently, the bridge is being replaced there at Simcoe. The plan is actually the Wilson Road Bridge gets replaced next. And then the Harmony Road interchange gets built after that. So that's kind of the order that's progressing. And then the region, just to note, is doing the 4-laning realignment project from Harmony to Grandview, hopefully in advance of that interchange being reconstructed.
Harmony to Grandview, so through Bloor Street?
Bloor Street, yes.
Okay. So there's going to be significant investment there?
Correct, yes.
All right. Yeah, just through you, Mr. Chair, it's pretty obvious if you're advocating on behalf of the municipality that you represent, you want to see, further investment. And then if you're advocating, from the standpoint of the municipality that could potentially be impacted by, the trade-off, which was suggested, you're going to be, I don't know what the position is, but you're going to want both. You're going to want to do both. But I think we have to figure out, what the impacts of Harmony Road's new interchange will be, making sure that it stays online and is completed on time, and isn't further pushed to a completion date that I think a lot of people are looking forward to, and then seeing how we can advance further investment in that area to relieve the traffic concerns. The suggestion of another interchange is always a good one when based on the likelihood of advancing relief and development. But that would have to come at the cost of the region of Durham, because the city of Oshawa does not have that funding. And we heard that the province is going to be contributing to the full cost, I believe, of Harmony Road and likely Prestonville as well, correct? Unless that changes.
There's been no discussion about Prestonvale as far as an interchange being constructed there. It's just Harmony that I was speaking to about the cost being covered by the ministry 100%.
Okay. These are all things that we have to consider, but definitely I would urge any decision to be done in collaboration with the Economic Development Department, because I do believe that, and there's going to be an item that's coming up, the second item in this agenda, that I think we have to take a look at things with a little bit of a different scope. Function is one thing, because that obviously includes cost and completion, but then the impacts of surrounding area, whether it's relief or activating development, has to be considered through economic development. So to make a unilateral decision here on this item or the next is something that I think is a little bit of concern, at least from my standpoint, not indicating a preference, but just we have to understand the impacts on what decisions we make here will have when it comes to activating a higher and better use, whether it be in traffic patterns or in development initiatives. So I just wanted to make sure that was identified. And if we do have the ability to be able to speak to planning about this initiative as well as the next one, we should, just for our I wouldn't say safekeeping, but I think it's not even a good practice. It's just intelligent for us to be able to understand what the impacts are moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, next we've got Chair Henry.
Just a clarification question. On the Town Line Road, currently the GO Train East, we don't need a bridge in that area now.
No.
So 70% of the GO Train is already designed. This would take a substantial amount of work if this was to go forward, to create an intersection, to put a proper bridge in to manage not only the GO Train, but also the freight that goes through there. When we've already done a lot of the work to getting the GO Train, the GO Train's slated to be in Bowmanville by 2028. Designing and building a bridge, would it delay this project?
Potentially, yeah.
And the other part, this is not in, the design of that bridge is not in the current operating budget.
Yeah, just to make it clear, whether it's Town Line or Prestonvale, there's no way MTO is going to bring this into the 10-year budget overnight.
Yeah.
We all recall the number of years it took us even for them to bring Harmony and 401. It took us 3 delegations at OGRA, now Good Roads, and many reports here, the good job that council and committee did. So neither is imminent. So, I'm not expecting they're going to design all this as part of the Metro Go expansion.
And, through you, Chair, to our CAO, I know how much work we've done with Metrolinx to get the work on the GO Train East done. Through your expert opinion, by putting a hiccup such as this into the system, would Metrolinx use it as an excuse to stop the work on the GO Train East?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's entirely possible. We're working very hard to keep Metrolinx focused and on target and on time. It would view this as something that would need to be determined before it could get to 100% design.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, back to Councillor Nicholson.
Thank you. Just to the staff on the interchanges, do you have confirmed timelines on the Harmony Road interchange? Because the dates you used are not the dates I was given from our city staff. They're talking Harmony Road in 2032, not 2028. So have you got different information from the MTO that you can provide to us?
We can certainly contact the MTO and confirm the timing and let you know, but that was my understanding of their current timing.
All right. The reason I ask that is it's not just Wilson Road. You have to do a widening of the underpass at Ritson. You have to do the underpass at Cubert. There's a whole range of projects that have to be undertaken to facilitate the widening of the 401 through Oshawa. The Simcoe Street Bridge has been operating almost for a year and a half, and they've got one half of one lane southbound on the bridge. They're also got to take down Albert Street Bridge and replace it before they can move on to Ritson, before they can move on to Wilson, before they can move on to Harmony. So I think if we're going to deal with traffic patterns, I think we need to get a clear understanding from MTO as to their timelines, as to when they're doing it. The second question is, and I was a little confused by the answer, so I just want to clarify. The ministry has not committed to Prestonvale?
We have not had any discussions with the ministry about a Prestonvale interchange recently.
All right.
So,
Again, we seem to make the argument we're not going to investigate town line because we've already decided on Prestonville, but the ministry hasn't decided they're going to have anything at Prestonville. They already have interchanges at Curtis Road. They have interchanges at the 407 connector at 418. They have interchanges with their modernizing at, I guess I always call it Waverly, but Bowmanville Avenue, I guess they call it now. And they're talking about improvements at Liberty Street, because that's really a partial interchange there. And I'm sure as Clarington grows, there may be more demands yet to come from that growth. Well, what I believe we need from our works department and other staff is an overview picture of what we think is needed to handle the traffic and growth, and what steps we take. If town line is, in the opinion of our staff, not the option, then please tell us what is. Because it doesn't sound like either town line or Prestonville are going to be done in the near future. So that means that Harmony Road continues to be chaos. And it's going to be chaos and worsening chaos for the next foreseeable future, probably a decade plus. Are we talking about the potential of closing Bloor Street at town line so that vehicles that want to come from Curtis get on the highway at Curtis Road or at Prestonville when it's built, not at Harmony? Because with all due respect, the Bloor Harmony Road connection can't handle the traffic we have now. You take your life in your hands trying to get out of your driveways on Harmony Road. You know, you want to talk about fear. You know, talk to the residents on Harmony Road from Bloor Street up to Olive Avenue as they try to exit their neighborhood and get onto the street. You take your life in your hands making a right-hand turn. There's no possible way to make a left-hand turn. You would simply not be able to make the turn. So I think we have to get our heads around just how we're going to address these traffic patterns. And in my community, it's the biggest issue we have. is the thousands, I mean, literally thousands of cars that are traveling those roads hourly, especially during rush hour. You can see the cars parked from the Grandview intersection on Bloor Street all the way back to the 401 interchange. And in fact, there are some days when you come off the 401, you can't go up Harmony, you can't go across Bloor because there's no space for your car. So I guess what Oshawa was trying to do here is we're appealing to the region, saying, look, folks, work with us. Help us address this traffic nightmare that we have. And, if that means the interchange has to be moved up, then maybe we should be pressing the province to do the Harmony interchange before it does the widening, which is leaving up space for the widening. Because I tell you, there's more chaos at Harmony than there is at Wilson or Ritson or Gilbert or others. I would suggest Harmony Road and its interchange is the number one issue for traffic in the city of Oshawa right now. At least in the southern half of the city. I can't speak about Taunton in the north in great detail, but along the 401, it's the biggest concern. And I think, all we're trying to do respectfully is try to get more information. And I too would love to see the report from 2017 that justified changing it from Town Line to Prestonville and what you're projecting to do at Prestonville. Because if it is a solution better than Town Line, I'm not objecting to that. But I want to see the reasoning behind it. And that's the reason we asked for this report, is that we could get the full picture, because we have to take this to council and get council to agree with the received information. But we don't have any information to give them. So, if the committee is adamant that it wants to receive information, then I would suggest, if that passes, that we give a direction to staff as well to give the information, and attach it to that received information so that council is fully informed. The vast majority of this council was elected post-2017. There are some that were there then, but the vast majority of this council now has been elected from 2018 and on. And they would need that information to make an informed decision. So I was hoping to start the conversation, but if we're going to end it, please tell us why.
Okay, Councilor Mackay.
Just call the vote.
Okay, seconder on that?
Do I have a second?
Councilor Crawford. All right, all in favor? Okay, recorded vote. Okay, just give us a sec. Okay, we're waiting for one.
Councilor Yamada, if you're present. Second time, Councilor Yamada. And third, Councilor Yamada.
Okay, that's carried 5-2. All right. There you go. Okay. So now on the vote, correct? For the receive. That last vote was to call the vote. Okay, motion to receive, all in favor? Okay, recorded vote. Okay, that again is carried 6-2. And we need to see the, okay. All right. So let's move on now. We are now at report number 8.2A. This is report 2024 W9, and this is to declare lands as surplus and approve the transfer of the surplus lands to the Hamilton Oshawa Port Authority's wholly owned subsidiary, Great Lakes Port Management Incorporated. And first, we've got the vice chair. Oh, we need a mover and a seconder. So Tito, Rhonda. First speaker is the vice chair. Go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly, I think that this is definitely an initiative that's been on the table for a while. We've worked very, very well with HOPA since they've come in and partnered with the city of Oshawa and obviously the region of Durham. This piece of the puzzle hopefully will get them to the point where the improvements that are needing to be made in this particular corridor to advance a significant intake and out sort of put of business that comes from the port is going to be facilitated. So I know the discussions have been ongoing. They're complex when dealing with federal entities, and I think that this generally is one that this agreement is one that HOPA was looking forward to for some time, and I know that we're going to benefit from as a city and a region. So to the staff members involved, I really do appreciate that this is coming to a conclusion, and we look forward to the road improvements being advanced in a timely way.
Sounds good. Next is Councillor Nicholson.
Thank you. As chair of the city's port working group, which Councillor Mayor Petrie is also on, we endorse this. This is part of a memorandum of understanding that we developed to the city of Oshawa and HOPA. It not only is it going to help facilitate our Fairwell Road project, which starts construction this year, it'll allow us for a proper intersection at Fairwell and Harbor with lights, and it will provide additional security and access to the port to allow them to complete the construction of the ring road, which is going to be helpful in attracting more business and more opportunities to our port. So this is a very, very positive step. I wholeheartedly endorse it. And I would ask our staff to use their best efforts to do this as quickly as possible, because the sooner we can resolve all the easements, the sooner we can get on with the projects. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have a mover and a seconder on this. I don't see any more speakers. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. And next we are, and just, is there a desire to link some of these together?
Well, the remainder, but this one in particular, I'm just going to ask the chair to go on camera and discuss. Because it does involve land acquisition, or at least a process that's going to impact landowners.
Okay. So do we need to go into camera to discuss this? Depends on the questions. So why don't we hold this one till the end and then we can go in? What's that?
To do that, I'd pull the item and go in camera if that's possible.
Okay. So why don't we deal with the other items on the agenda and then
Certainly.
go back? Is that okay?
So I'll move them as recommended if that's acceptable.
What? Say that again, sorry.
I'll move the remainder of the items as recommended.
Okay. So. Okay, so let's go. I think there's going to be some questions on F. So why don't we go C, D, and E?
I have a question.
So, okay, so let's choose them one by one. So we're gonna. Do we need to do a motion to alter the agenda? Or are we okay? Okay, so let's go. Report number 2024 W11. This is C. Mover and seconder. Seconded by Councilor Mulcahy. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Now we're at D. This is report number 2024 W12, sole source procurement of equipment for wastewater facilities. Move it. Vice Chair, seconded by Councilor Nicholson. Questions, comments? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Now we're at E. Report number 2024 W13. This is additional financing for the award of proposal 1088-2023 for engineering services for Ajax Zone 1 water storage facility. I'm going to, Councillor Crawford. Okay, can we get a seconder? Councillor Mulcahy, and go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. My question on this one is, does the footprint of, I don't know who I'm asking this to, but does the footprint on this particular project get bigger, or is it the internal stuff that's getting changed? I couldn't actually determine that on the report?
Okay, through the chair, it is a replacement building, so there is a building there now. It's tucked very close to the intersection at Harwood and Roslyn.
Yeah.
So this is a replacement building, so we're going to be able to build a new building behind the existing one and then demolish the existing one once it's up and running.
Okay, and is it bigger than the existing building?
It will be bigger than the
It will be?
existing
Okay.
building, yes.
And because the intersection there is very, very busy because of two schools and a seniors home and lots of traffic, how are we going to manage, is that going to affect traffic at all?
Through the chair, we're going to look at improving the entrance to the facility. The region actually owns a couple of acres along Harwood Avenue, north of Roslyn. So we're going to look at opportunities to maybe move the entrance to a better location. Right now, the entrance is right at the intersection. It's very close. A lot of
Right.
kids walking by for school every day.
Yeah.
So we are looking to move the entrance, and that'll be studied as part of this review.
So, sorry for all the questions, but is the facility going to be built behind it first and then demolish the first? Okay, so then
Yes,
there won't be any impact to traffic during that whole process.
correct.
Okay, good. Because I will be asked those questions. And when do you think you'll start?
It's expected that the design will take 18 months, maybe 2 years, and then tendering and construction after that.
So, like right away?
I would suspect we'll tender the project in 2026.
Oh, okay. Okay. So not a lot of work on it necessarily before that.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next speaker is Councillor Nicholson.
Okay, just a question for my clarification. We just approved a budget a couple weeks ago. Why was this additional financing not included in the budget? Like, why are we raising it now, mere weeks after the passage of the regional budget?
Through the chair, so the water and sewer budget was approved in December, and this tender closed in January, so that we didn't have the estimate from the consultant until
So you
January.
didn't know that this was going to be done at the time? Okay,
Correct.
fair enough. That's a reasonable question. Okay.
Okay, Councillor Mulcahy.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Just a quick question about where we're getting the money from. A little concerned, I know that we're going to be requesting again for the funding then for the Winchester Road expansion as a result of this. So that's going to be in the next budget then? Is that what I'm to understand?
Okay, just a second. This is in regards to that pumping station, is that?
So the
Okay.
reallocation of funding.
Oh, okay.
So the funding is coming from the expansion of up to Winchester Road. So as a result of it not being constructed this year, does this mean then that we have to re-request this in next year's budget?
Through the chair, that is correct. So this is a region share amount, which means we're going to share the cost of the construction of the infrastructure with developers to oversize the pipe, to accommodate growth beyond their development. And what we're always gauging is the pace at which development is moving. This development has not come forward with applications to build that infrastructure this year, so we will rebudget it for next year.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we don't have any additional speakers on this? All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are now at F. This is report 2024 W14. This is in regards to the Beaver River Bridge closure and replacement. And this is for Regional Road 15 in the Township of Brock. Okay, first speaker is Councillor. Oh, and we need a mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Marin Pietri, seconded by the chair, just to get it on the floor. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Crawford.
Thank you, through you. So from the report, I'm to understand that the Ministry of Transportation is trying to download this onto us. Is that correct?
Yeah, why don't we get Ramesh to just kind of
Okay.
explain where we are with this? It's a fairly complicated item.
Not as simple as that?
Well, that was, if you had to explain it in 7 words, I think that would do it, but I think there might be more to it.
Okay.
Through the chair, the short answer is yes. because having determined that the asset, which is the bridge, Beaver River Bridge, near Simcoe, near Road 15 and Highway 12, is an MTO asset. Administratively, they should have done this 60 years ago, according to them. They would
According
be-
to them.
Yeah. Well, based on their inventory of records and so on, they will be transferring it to us. But what the report is saying is, don't do that until you have designed and replaced the bridge, or as a minimum, pay us and we'll do it. And we have a letter from staff, which is appended to the report. At a staff level, they seem to think that's something that they can get through to their treasury board.
Are you confident that that will happen?
Well, between a council resolution and perhaps a little more communication with, on the political side, I suppose, they've kind of acknowledged that they would have to pay for the design and replacement before we take it or during our transition and so on. The crux of the report that talks about, which is still outstanding, is a temporary bridge. Given that it's going to take about 2 years to design and replace, this report recommends that they also commit to pay the necessary funding, not only for the permanent bridge replacement, also for the temporary bridge.
They have not
until the
committed
permits-
to that, is that right?
No.
Okay. So if it's possible, can I make a referral that this goes back to staff to ensure that we have the right people paying for the right things? Is that possible?
I think a referral is always in order. Seconded by Councilor Marion Pietri, and we have a number of speakers, and I'm going to just chat a little bit from the chair, if you don't mind. I'm concerned about this one. You know, we're getting between. We've got people that are driving around an area. We've got emergency services that are driving around an area. We have the public who will struggle to understand why a bridge should take 2.5 years to build. We have a passionate council, and we have the MTO. We're in the middle of a whole bunch of entities here. And I want to make sure if we take this work on, that we have coverage from all those entities. This could be a public relations nightmare for the next 2.5 years or longer if there's issues working in water. And before we do this or agree to do this, I think we need to be very, very careful. That's my take. And seeing it's not even funded yet, that's an even bigger concern.
Yeah,
So
funding is definitely a big one.
I don't want, we've seen what happens when our staff become targets. I want to make sure they're not the targets on this one. Just to be really clear. So that's sort of my advice from the chair. We're going to start with Councillor Nicholson. I think on the referral. Brian? Okay, just a second. There we go.
Thank you. I would have preferred to have seen a new part E added, that work undertaken under section C and D will only start when MTO guarantees the full funding of the project. At the very minimum. Right now, we're saying we're going to start, we authorize staff to continue the assignment, do this, and we're going to hope that MTO will commit the money based on some staff member's opinion that they think they might get it through the Treasury Board. I haven't dealt with MTO for many, many years. Promises aren't worth the paper they're written on. You need a letter of commitment from MTO approved by the Treasury Board indicating that they will fund this project under the conditions that the region is willing to do the work. As a bare minimum. Before you get into, I mean, I'm not even raise the issue of a public relations disaster or whatever, but you shouldn't even start anything on this process and waste any staff time until they say, yeah, we'll pick up the cost. And if they're concerned about us picking up, doing this work, then they have a solution. Do it themselves. They don't have to then seek our approval for anything. MTO could come in tomorrow and say, we're going to start work on this project. And it's within their purview at the provincial level to do that. In fact, technically, it's their responsibility to do it. Now, we just spent a whole lot of time and debate talking about downloading from upper levels of government. And, we spoke long and hard about, our budgets are being impacted and all this is being done. But here we are again, rolling over, doing what they should be doing, and basically saying all they have to do is write a check, we'll do all the work. And we'll answer all the questions, and we'll answer all the complaints. And we'll deal with the fact that the road's closed and there's a temporary bridge. So we'll take all the heat, and specifically the regional councillors and the local councillors in Brock. But the question that jumps out to me is, would we do this anywhere else? Are we going to take over the operation and construction of bridges that MTO should be built in other communities? Because once they get thin edge of the wedge in and they realize they can do this to us, are we then opening the door to other MTO bridges being transferred to our jurisdiction with our management and our costs, and we take the heat? So it just strikes me that the referral makes sense, but I think we need to have a much stronger set of wording in there that talks about what the commitment is. A is really good, but that's just a protest. If we don't get the actual commitments, then they can build a bridge themselves. We can put a nice sign on both sides of the bridge right now that says closed by MTO. See how they like that? I'm sure the MPPs in the area would not appreciate seeing that sign. I know I wouldn't if I were them. So hopefully Mr. Scott will do what he can to get MTO and the province to fix this problem. It's their problem, let them fix it.
Okay, next we've got Councillor McCaughey.
Yeah, on the deferral, I fully support it. I think that we've all had our experiences with MTO, and I would like to see some sort of commitment from them in writing for the costs and whatnot for this project. Yeah, I won't speak to the report yet then. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The next person is Chair Henry, but he just stepped out. And then we'll jump to Mayor Schumer and then go back to Chair Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can I just get clarification again on the deferral? What are the conditions of this deferral?
So this would be a refer to staff to get more information before this committee are willing to support this work being done by the region.
More information regarding whether we have an actual guarantee for funding? Is that the information? Because there's a heck of a lot of information in this report.
So I think, so in this report, it does not guarantee that we're going to get paid. It does not talk about the communications. There's a lot of missing pieces with this report.
Okay, I understand the concern on the funding. Just for some clarification, and in the report, it does outline the background of this. Yes, this is somewhat downloading. This has been a peculiar asset, probably not the only one in the province, but the region has been maintaining this bridge under the understanding that the region did own this bridge. We've had it in our capital plans, I understand, long-term capital plans. We've been doing inspections. We have been spending the money on maintenance. So it is a bizarro download for sure, but it's not like we haven't been treating the bridge like it's ours. If I could ask staff in their experience, and I think I know the answer to this, in their experience, has this happened anywhere else in the province, and what were the outcomes, especially with respect to Treasury Board deliberations?
So just I had the clerk whisper in my ear here whether or not we're speaking on the referral at the moment.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out is, if this deferral is going to cause this project to be deferred essentially until who knows when. I mean, I believe in the report, it speaks to summer when Treasury Board may get at this? I mean, do we know, do we have any experience or knowledge of the process for the MTO to go to Treasury Board and approve the funding for this?
Okay, go ahead, Ramesh.
Okay, got it. Through the chair, we've got Alison Burgess on the microphone. We don't have, I don't think MTO discloses their schedule on the Treasury Board meetings, but it's my understanding a couple of times a year, like if it's summer, we don't know. But that's what staff told anyway. Perhaps Elaine can elaborate.
Yes, we have no way of knowing what's on Treasury Board agenda or what their schedule is. It really is determined by their own priorities, and whether or not this would be deemed a priority is really unclear. I would think in the immediate future it's not likely, but that really is there, and it's their decision, and it's all very confidential with respect to how they bring items forward. But the item would have to be recommended by the Deputy Minister to the Minister, who would take it to Treasury Board.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a handle on what staff might have found out in their discussions, because obviously there's been a lot of discussions going on with MTO. They indicate in their letter that they will immediately begin the process to transfer the bridge and approve funding. And I'm just wondering if staff did not ask for timelines on that. I can understand, this is a provincial set of meetings, and Treasury Board is under the jurisdiction of the province, but did we not get some kind of information beyond that paragraph in the letter?
Through the chair. No, the short answer is no. In fact, the staff level that we are dealing with, they wouldn't be privy to those dates either. It's just that simple.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Chair Henry. Oh, let me hit a button.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
To speak to the referral, I won't support the referral, and for a couple reasons. One, if you turn to page 71 of your agenda, it talks about the impact of the road closure, and there's comments from the Brock Fire Department, from the fire chief, and from the region of Durham paramedics, so our chief, talking about the delay of the additional 6 kilometers of travel that it takes. Members of council, I believe that as this intersection is one of the busiest intersections in Brock Township, that the province should have declared it an emergency, and that the region should advocate for that, and declaring it an emergency, then it changes the way that it will be dealt with by the province. The other thing that, and to Mayor Schumer, the region, if we're going to be acting on behalf of Brock on this issue, it would be nice to have a resolution from Brock to say that the region of Durham act on their behalf and try to advance this with the full weight of the region of Durham to the province. And I think that is important as well. As for the money, we can't delay this from a timeline perspective. If we miss a construction season here, it will put it back farther than the time allotted. So I won't support the referral. I would support an addition that the Council of Brock endorse the region to act on their behalf on this particular item, and that we raise the issue with the weight of Durham region to all the appropriate ministers, including the Premier, that this is a safety hazard to the people that travel on Highway 12 and at that intersection, and we bring it to their attention, not just the Ministry of Transportation. Thank you.
So just a point of clarification, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair. With that, are you suggesting that we start doing the work?
I'm suggesting that the Council of Brock gives the region permission through a recommendation of their council to act on their behalf. And the letters that could be written starting today related to the response that we got from the ministry, which wasn't worded very well, bringing the challenges related for police, fire, and paramedics to their attention, and that we believe it is an emergency, and making sure that not only the Minister of Transportation knows that, but the Minister of Finance, the Treasury Board, and ultimately the Premier and the local member of provincial parliament. This is an important issue for Brock. It's a challenge, but there's a lot of hands in the pot here. And if the region could get an endorsement from Brock Council to act on their behalf on the bridge, I think we could speak with one voice and drive this project much faster.
Oh. So your mic's on again, just,
So don't we have to revote, like, that's a whole different motion. Do we
Yeah.
not have to vote the referral down before we go into that?
I would. Okay, so,
I'll withdraw the second if that helps, because it was to put the item on the floor.
oh, just a second. Can you hit your button again? I lost you. Okay.
But it's on the floor. Don't we have to have a vote to get rid of it? I don't know.
Yeah, we would have to, we could vote to, unless the mover and seconder withdraw their motion.
So right now, there is a referral motion on the floor. I think Chair Henry was just stating that once, or if the referral motion is defeated,
Okay.
then he would be looking at an amendment to staff's recommendations.
Okay.
Okay. Next is Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, just one question. What would it cost for us to put in a temporary bridge? So we can keep the access without committing to $7 million plus?
Through the chair, we are estimating if it's going to take 2 years to design and replace the permanent bridge, it's probably about $2 million to install and pay the rental for a couple of years for the temp bridge. 2 million.
So the 2 million is part of the 7 though, is that not correct?
No. Just to clarify, 7 million is for the permanent replacement, which was an estimate based on 3 years ago. So putting that aside.
Okay, now it's 14, okay.
Yeah, and this 2 million would be additional, assuming it's a 2-year rental. It's $40,000 per month for rental. So if it takes 3 years because of permitting and whatever, that cost will accumulate.
Okay, it didn't say that in the report though. The report said it'd be all encompassing, including the temporary bridge.
No, the report does say in a paragraph, the separate cost for the temporary bridge would be an installation cost plus a rental of $40,000 per month.
Okay, given that this estimate was at least 3 years ago, and given the increase in prices, it would not be unreasonable that this would be $10 million plus on today's prices, not including the 2 million for the bridge?
Quite possibly, yeah.
So we're looking at potential of 10 to 12 or even more $1 million without any guarantee that the province is going to contribute dime one to this project. And we're taking upon ourselves that we'll write them a very nice letter to say, please pay what they should have been paying in the beginning. I don't understand why we wouldn't refer it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You're asking the taxpayers of this region to pick up potentially could be as much as a $12 to $14 million project without any guarantee that we'll get any reimbursement. And who knows, after we finish the design over the next 2 years, we could be looking at another jump in prices. I'm told the average construction cost index is 13% per year. So we'll be looking at 25 to 30% higher than the 10 million until we actually start the work. I don't recall the region ever doing this type of project on behalf of the province without a guarantee of funding. It would be a hell of a precedent to set, because I'm sure the province would like to transfer a whole lot of their infrastructure to us if we're going to pick up the cost. So I think it'd be foolhardy to the taxpayers to not refer this and get further information and further clarification, and to do it. And I'm sure we can do it expeditiously, because we don't want to hold up the process. But we definitely need a confirmation. I do like what the chair says about having it declared an emergency. So if we can get a letter from the region and Brock saying both agree that it's an emergency, so please then move expeditiously to resolve the funding issue. There's no reason why this has to be put off for 5 or 6 months. But we can't commit 10, 14, 16, whatever $1 million without knowing we're going to get reimbursed. It's unprecedented in my view. Thank you.
And just for the committee, I'd be willing to stand up a committee meeting with as little notice as possible if we get this back to make a decision on it. I'm just, like Councillor Nicholson, I'm very concerned with signing up for a project of this magnitude with limited staff when we just dealt with a very complex budget on something that's not budgeted, so. Oh, just a second.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Would it be possible, because we're talking, today's the 3rd of April. Would it be possible that staff could come back with a very quick report, adding these changes, and we could possibly hold a Works Committee meeting prior to the Regional Council meeting, maybe at 9 o'clock, so we can pass that and have it put on the council agenda, so we wouldn't delay it past the next council meeting. Is that possible, that we could do something like that?
Sarah?
I think that would also be whether staff could come back that quickly.
Yeah. So what about if we just leave it like this and say, as soon as we can get clarification from staff, we will stand up a council meeting as quickly as legislatively possible to make a call?
The only legitimate concern I have, and I think the good Mayor Schumer raised it, is that we don't want to delay the project if we can avoid it. If our issue is to get the right wording in the report to outline the regional's position, then surely that's something we can do between now and the regional council meeting at the end of April. If we don't, then we're looking at a regional council meeting at the end of May, which could in fact cause us some real delay issues. So if we're just adding a couple of clauses in there to address the point that the good chair said and the declaration of emergency, surely we're just talking, not change the wording in the report, we're just changing the wording in the recommendation. Can't do that in 3 weeks?
I think all of the information that we are able to give you right now is in the report. So I'm unclear on what we could report back to. If you wish to amend the report to add a recommendation that declared this as an emergency, I think that would be fine and it would eliminate the need to report back. But really with respect to the cost, the process, and what we need from the MTO, I think the report is very clear, and it's also very clear that we're not proceeding with construction until we have confirmation of what they're paying for.
I'm done.
Okay. Let's go to the vice chair for a minute.
Chair, thinking about this carefully, I understand the apprehension of investing money in a piece of infrastructure that may not be ours. So I'm just trying to figure out whose infrastructure it is through you. Whose bridge is this?
So, no, I can answer this really quick. This bridge belongs to the MTO
Belongs to MTO. All right.
today. It'll be transferred to us after construction.
So there was an overture about how this has been ours for some time now. Is it as a result of the maintenance that we performed, or why is it classified our bridge when it's actually MTO's?
Do you want to do it, or do you want me to? Okay, so this was a bridge that we thought we owned. We did work on it. We've done maintenance on it for a long time. When we went to go do further maintenance and to plan for a reconstruction, we then learned that it actually belonged to the MTO, in which case they inspected it, they looked at it and realized that it didn't meet their standard, and they closed it.
Okay. So the agreement with MTO doesn't exist at this point in terms of how this is going to be funded?
Through the chair? No.
So if we went forward, because, and I just tell you where I'm coming from on this, because I've been out there. I know that Chair Henry and I were out the same day when we looked at the area, and it is impacting the area. significantly, and something has to be done. If MTO's had this understanding that it's their bridge, and they perform the inspection, we've had conversations with them to say, listen, you know, when are you guys going to fix the bridge? What was the response?
Through the chair, the response is in the letter that's attached to the report. Basically, they've said they intend to transfer the bridge and to also seek approval to their Treasury Board to provide the funding necessary for the design and replacement for the regional staff to do it.
Okay.
But it's still a staff letter. And I think that's the concern I'm hearing in recommendation B. It's saying requested to provide an immediate commitment to seek. Maybe it should just be requested to provide, that MTO be requested to provide Treasury Board approval, period. I think that's where the concern is, because we don't want to just go by a staff letter, fair enough. But whether they meet in summer or fall, like, we don't know. We were trying to avoid that delay because staff have already committed, kind of, right, like in the letter. But if we leave it to the Treasury Board approval, it adds that uncertainty, but that's what I'm hearing here, because you have to weigh that against the risk of us doing something we may not get paid for.
Okay, and I get that. I see that there is a document, and is it on provincial letterhead? Is MTO letterhead?
MTO staff letterhead, yeah.
Okay. So I think referring it back initially, you know, putting on the floor, having this discussion was a good one for us to be able to figure out how we were going to deal with this. But I think that there's been a few elements that have been identified that we can actually include in, you know, the process that would satisfy us. At some point, we're going to have to move on this if it is going to be given to us. I'm very surprised that MTO even said, you know, we're going to be designing and funding it, and then we're going to be giving it to you. Like, usually they're going to say, you're funding it and you're designing it, it's yours. Because that's typically, well, I wouldn't say what the region's done to municipalities, but what other levels of government typically do. So I wouldn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because it seems like a good faith communication. So I will not be supporting the referral. As the CAO indicated, you have to put it on the floor. And I've indicated that I'd like to withdraw my second. If someone else would like to second that, that's fine, because there's no guarantee that this committee will then move forward with against the referral, for example. And I'm concerned, you know, if you're out there in that area, how much more delay can we have before something serious happens in and around that area without access to the infrastructure that they need?
So, go ahead, sir.
So if Councillor Marampietri withdrew, we would go to you as the mover. Are you prepared to continue with the referral? If so, we would need a seconder. If there's no seconder, it would fall off.
Okay. So,
So it's been moved by Councillor Crawford and now seconded by Councillor Mulcahy
yes.
for the referral back to staff.
Yeah. All right. So again, Councillor Nicholson, just give me 2 seconds before you jump in. I think what we're looking for is why is the region going to do this work instead of either the MTO or the lower tier or anyone else, when we already have an awful lot on our plate, tough budgets, and when we don't have clarification that this is actually going to be paid for yet. And I know it says we're not going to start work, but again, we're spending money right now on this by talking about it in this meeting. Councillor Nicholson.
This may sound somewhat paranoid, but after 39 years dealing with MTO, I think this is valid. If we give them a number as to what this would cost, are they only going to commit to the $7 million? Or are they going to commit to the full build-out cost upon time of construction?
Through the chair, typically when we do agreements with them of this kind, they do commit to the full build-out.
Okay, we would include that in any request, in any motion that we would put,
Yeah, it'll be costs as incurred.
and would that also include the temporary bridge costs that
Well-
are being there to keep access as well?
Well, that's what we have in the motion for the temporary bridge, for the permanent bridge, and the staffing cost.
So therefore, all costs that are incurred in this project would be picked up by MTO.
That is the ask, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. We have conflicting opinions around the table, but we have no one else who wants to talk about it. So I'll call the vote. All in favor of the referral? Recorded. Okay, the referral passes. So it's referred back to staff. Chair Henry, do you want to hit your request to speak?
Both the CEO, Elaine Baxter and I have a meeting with the Mississaugas of Scugog Island on Scugog Island. So we're going to have to leave now. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. All right, so this is referred back to staff. And so, Ramesh, is that enough direction? Do you want to take our conversation as direction?
Yeah, I'll probably have to watch the recording again to understand the direction. Yeah,
Okay.
but we will, yeah.
But I would encourage you to, have a conversation with, you and I can chat. We can also have Mayor Schumer and Councillor Jubb speak as well about kind of where we're going and what we're going to need. I think it was a really good point that the chair made about getting direction from Rock Council, so that we are aligned on this. Again, I am concerned about the communications on this. Okay, all right. So just let me go back to the agenda. Oh, we haven't dealt with B yet. So, sorry, what was that? Yeah, motion to go into camera, seconded by Vice Chair. And we'll need a couple minutes to do that. Okay, just a second. Okay. Oh, and do you want to go, Councillor Baron Pietri, do you want to go into camera, A, for the security of property for the regional corporation, or advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege? Both. Okay, sounds good. Oh, all in favor of moving into closed? Okay, that's carried. Okay, we need a couple minutes, thanks. Committee met in closed session to consider matters. It is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act as listed in today's committee agenda. The following items were considered during closed session, and it is a proposed pending acquisition or disposition of land. Okay, now, Councillor Mulcahy? Oh, it's not on the floor. Oh, okay. So first, let's go with a mover and seconder for the report. Moved by Councillor Crawford, seconded by Councillor Marion Pietri. All in favor? Oh, now you, sorry. Now you want to refer back. So motion to refer. Oh, you're not? Okay. Okay, so seconded by Councillor Mulcahy. Okay. Now, we have a motion by Councillor Mulcahy. Refer back. Seconded by Councillor Nicholson. Yep. And okay, actually repeat all that so it's on the record.
They be referred to staff for further investigation and report back.
Okay, Councillor Mulcahy, you're good with that? Give me a second.
Unless you want to just add as discussed in camera.
As it was discussed in camera. Okay,
I assume that, but
yeah. Okay, and before we have a vote, we do have a speaker.
So we're referring back and reporting on what, the expropriation, or I just wanted to be clear?
I think we're going to refer back on the items discussed in camera. And staff can take that direction?
Okay.
Okay. Is that clear to everyone? And recorded vote. Oh, thanks. Okay, the referral passes. All right. And then we are down to other business. I have one item of other business. Folks, it's Dig Safe Month. This month, which marks the unofficial start to spring digging season, is dedicated to raise awareness of safe digging practices across the province to improve safety and reduce damages to underground infrastructure. Whether you're a homeowner digging up a garden or a contractor preparing for a major excavation project, please dig responsibly and help prevent injuries, property damage, and inconvenient outages. Okay, any other business? Councillor Nicholson. Just a second, I need a, thank you.
with the early spring, we're starting to see an awful lot of early complaints about litter pickup. I know I've sent more than a few to Ramesh. We're getting more on a daily basis. Normally, we hire our summer students to do a lot of this work, but they don't get hired until after May. Is there any investigation of whether we can hire some earlier than the main norm, given that the climate has changed in the area?
I'll ask Eric Lemaine if we are already in the roster of summer students or temp laborers.
Yeah, through the chair, a lot of the students are coming back into the middle of April, so it should be in the week or two. So we will have additional staff.
All right. Secondly, have we set up, we did this at the city on local roads, a phone number where they can call and report garbage or littering issues. Have we given consideration to setting up a phone number other than the 311 where these types of complaints could be called into so that staff can address them quickly as opposed to waiting through the mill to get to you?
Well, that's the purpose of 311, and they are being trained and, in my opinion, getting better, dispatching complaints to the right people for right action.
All right, so they know who exactly to send this to?
Yeah, including those on standby, they have the
Good.
roster.
I hate always sending it to our good commissioner because he ends up, and to be honest with you, I want to be very clear in this. I will send a complaint at 11 o'clock at night and he will respond at 11:30. So he's doing a fantastic job, but I just would rather speed up the process rather than have our commissioner running around doing that kind of phone inquiry. So it may be useful to outline that process and send it out to members of council so that we can understand the process and maybe speed up the response.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I think the last item would be a motion to adjourn. Okay. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.